Good evening, I'm Edison Mess, and you're watching ntTV's online report. The mayor of Portland, Oregon was in a crowd of protesters tear gas early Thursday morning. This in an effort by the Trump administration to regain control over federal buildings in the city. Major Thet Wheeler was among the leading critics of President Trump's decision to send in covert federal forces and was one of the protesters gassed this morning.
This is clearly a waste of federal resources, and it's getting increasingly dangerous. We did not ask the feds to be here. We don't want them here. They're not helping the situation. They're not appropriately trained, and we're demanding that they leave.
The president is also planning on sending covert federal agents to other Democrat-run cities, Chicago being one of them. Trash cans full of documents were being burned in the Chinese Consulate in Houston, Texas on Tuesday. The Chinese Foreign Ministry says the U.S. abruptly ordered them to cease all operations there. The grounds are considered Chinese territory, so Houston Fire did not enter, but they were standing outside. The Chinese Consulate is reportedly being evicted and must leave the facility by Friday. Secretary Mike Pompeo described the administration's reasoning.
President Trump has said enough. We're not going to allow this to continue to happen. You've seen the remarks that National Security Advisor O'Brien gave, that FBI Director Wray gave, and that Attorney General Barr has given. We are setting out clear expectations for how the Chinese Communist Party is going to behave, and when they don't, we're going to take actions that protect the American people, protect our security, our national security, and also protect our economy and jobs.
The U.S. government reports another 1.4 million Americans filed for first-time unemployment benefits last week. It's the first time initial jobless claims have gone up in nearly 4 months. It comes as some states roll back reopening plans and newly reopened business close down again amid surging coronavirus cases. And the additional $600 a week enhanced unemployment payments are set to expire at the end of the month. On a positive note, continued claims which count people who have applied for benefits for at least 2 weeks in a row slipped to 16.2 million. That's down by more than 1 million from the week before. Republican senators and White House negotiators say they reached a deal on key pieces of the new stimulus package late Wednesday. Fundamental parts of the $1 trillion plan include $105 billion for helping get kids back to school. The package does not penalize school systems which do not plan to reopen for in-person classes because of the pandemic. There's also additional funding for coronavirus testing. Republicans are also pushing for another round of forgivable Paycheck Protection Program loans. The talks come at an urgent moment as the $600 weekly unemployment benefits are soon to expire. While the White House has raised the possibility of a short-term extension, Republican senators have pushed back. House Democrats passed their own $3 trillion proposal in May and have been waiting on a response from the Senate. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told members he plans to unveil key features of the compromise package Thursday. It's official, Tesla is coming to Texas. During an earnings call yesterday, CEO Elon Musk announced that work is already underway on building a new 2,100-acre site. The new factory will be constructed in Austin on the Colorado River and will be, quote, an ecological paradise, according to Musk. The factory will employ at least 1,500 people at a minimum wage of $15 an hour. Tesla has said it will invest over $1 billion in the new site, which will be open to the public. After people are infected with the novel coronavirus, their natural immunity to the virus could decline sooner rather than later. New research suggests. Mandy Geither has more in today's Health Minute.
Antibodies are the proteins the body makes to fight infection. The CDC says their presence may tell you whether you've been infected with coronavirus in the past. But new research suggests antibody responses may start to decline within a month from the time COVID-19 symptoms first emerge, says William Hazeltine, president of Access Health International.
Now there are 2 studies, one from Spain and one from the UK, that actually measures the virus in people and the antibodies and watch the immunity decline. That's what we were afraid of.
In one of the studies released on a medical server and not yet peer-reviewed, the researchers say those who have a severe form of COVID-19 may have longer-lasting antibodies than those with mild cases, but it's still only a matter of months before those antibodies wane. They say the study has important implications when considering protection against reinfection and the durability of vaccines. But other experts point out we don't know for sure whether people can get reinfected with coronavirus.
If it were true that the antibodies and protection were only lasting 20 to 30 days, I think we would have started to see some significant amounts of reinfection. We haven't.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Today, the novel coronavirus cases tops 4 million cases in the U.S. and over 1,000 deaths for the second night in a row, with over 143,000 deaths overall in the U.S. The numbers today in Dallas were just over 400 cases. Tarrant County recorded 871 new cases. Denton County had 228 new cases with 1 new death, while Collin had 135 new coronavirus cases. Before we go, some good news for sports fan. Thursday night, Major League Baseball becomes the first of the big 3 American pro sports leagues to start to play since the COVID outbreak halted the 2020 season. MLB begins a short schedule under tightly controlled and highly unusual circumstances for players, coaches, umpires, and fans. Karen Kaifa is at Nationals Park in Washington, D.C., where the first pitch of the 2020 will be thrown tonight.
Nearly 4 months behind schedule, Major League Baseball is set to begin the 2020 regular season. Leading off, a marquee matchup here in Washington, the New York Yankees and defending World Series champion Nationals.
This will be our first game since winning the World Series, and sort of the celebration and virtual fanfare around that, and I think it's going to make for a really special night.
Without the hot dogs, the peanuts, the Cracker Jacks, and 7th inning stretches, the season to be played without fans in the stands. Just simulated crowd noise. For players, no high fives. For managers, no lineup card exchanges or arguing with umps. For all on and around the field, multiple COVID-19 tests per week. The adoption of the designated hitter in the National League and extra innings beginning with a runner on second among the changes to move game pace along. Still, the 60-game season was a risk some players weren't willing to take, despite MLB's extensive health and safety protocols. It's also a risk Canada wasn't willing to take. The country denied the Blue Jays' request to play home games in Toronto because of cross-border travel. The Canadian government said Canada has flattened the curve, while the U.S. has not. Even with limited regional schedules, some clubs will still have to travel to current coronavirus hotspots to play teams in Arizona, California, Texas, and Florida.
Just as baseball starts tonight, basketball will restart its season in about a week, and the NFL starts training camps in the next week. You can follow us on our Twitter at ntTV_news for the latest. Thank you so much for watching, and join us again next week for ntTV's online report. Have a safe weekend.